Welcome into another episode of Starting 502 Podcast. Jacob Lane, Alan Thomas, Ryan Keeling here on the State of Louisville Podcast Network, talking Louisville basketball tonight. We are in the off season, but still, as we get closer to some actual games being played, there's some news to discuss. We've got the beginning of the Cardinal commitment that all of us have been extremely excited to talk about, as well as some updates on timing games this season for Louisville. And we'll get into a little bit of NIL valuation, of course, some interesting topics considering all that's happened in the transfer portal this offseason in Louisville with the new rebuilt roster on three, putting out some projections. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but let's start with the big topic of the week, and that is Louisville basketball heading to the Bahamas here in just a short period of time. I mean, it does not get any better than having basketball to watch in the summer, and we're going to be baptized into basketball in the next week and a half, 2 weeks here in Louisville with the Cards going to the Bahamas and getting 2 games in as well as TBT. But we'll dive into TBT later in the show. Starting with the Bahamas, the Cards, as I mentioned, 13 days away. They'll play 2 games, Tuesday, 7:28 at 2 p.m., and then Wednesday, the 29th at noon. We do not, I believe, know much about streaming and what will be available. If you remember 2 years ago, the 502 Circle really owned that whole, and Floyd Street Media owned that whole broadcast, and you had Dan Furman and Rob Dowster and all those guys doing the broadcast and play-by-play. I think they had Terrence Oglesby. We don't know what that'll look like, but I assume Louisville's smart enough to know that this is an opportunity to get some sponsors involved and stream this down there. So, guys, what's the initial excitement level for Louisville basketball, especially coming off of the Cardinal commitment season 3 premiere? Ryan, I'll start with you because I know you've been stoked about this. The 11 minutes of information that we got, putting together months of basketball Instagram posts that we've been seeing. But how is that really kind of stoking the fire for getting excited for the Bahamas and seeing this team actually take the floor for at least 2 games?
Yeah, I'm super ecstatic to just finally kind of put pen to paper, finally see because you're right, we've just been breaking down like little snippets of film, like little 15 seconds of content that U of L's like putting out very very sparingly, just dropping little nuggets here and there on all their socials,
just a little bit,
just sprinkling like a little bit, just getting us all super fired up, and then to announce that we're going to be doing another trip to the Bahamas is just like awesome, because we'll finally get to see how these guys are kind of meshing, and if anything, it's going to lead to a decent amount of more of that content that we've been kind of just craving the last couple of months. Like, we'll finally get to see maybe how some of these guys just kind of like hang out together too. I remember 2 years ago just loving with PK's first team, all the little clips of like Kason Pryor and Noah Waterman just like kicking it on the beach and like hanging out. Like they did their first episode of like the podcast that they started when they were down
Keep
in
it
the
100.
Keep it, is that what it was? Keep it 100?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Because there's number 93 and number 7.
That's
oh
right.
my God. The fact that Noah Waterman wore number 93 is still just so awesome.
Did he do it for that show, for the name of that show? And he's
I'm
like,
fairly certain.
Dude,
I'm fairly
you're
certain.
number 7. What if I was?
Yeah.
He's like, okay, it has to be Keep It 100, so I'm number 93.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is your legacy. Yeah.
But you're right. Like, I need to see Flory and Jackson on a double tube going down one of the slides in the Atlantis. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that's the content right now I need to see. Or Gabe Dines
Yes.
and Flory riding a merry-go-round, or seeing, playing laser tag together in the Atlantis, or going down the lazy river. That's the kind of content we need. While also watching them hopefully dominate on the floor. I mean, we don't know who they're going to play. I believe 2 years ago it was the Bahamas Select, and then maybe like the Bahamas National B team. It wasn't necessarily.
It was some
I can't
Canadian
remember.
team. Some Canadian
Canadian team. Okay.
That was the
Okay.
second. The first one was Bahamas Select without. It was like the Bahamas Select B team. The second game was against. I want to say the equivalent of a college, whatever a college team is in Canada. Like, like I think we jumped out to 12-0 lead or something like that against one of them, like out the gate.
Yeah.
But I also
right.
remember the broadcast fucked up the scores, and so they had Louisville 0 and then Bahamas 10, and like if you were me, like, or anybody else that was watching that live and noticed that was on Twitter, like, I was freaking out because like I jumped in late. I couldn't get the stream up, so I jumped in. It was 10-0 or whatever, and I saw Bahamas 10, Louisville 0, and they were at a timeout, so they were huddled up. So nobody's really jumping around laughing. Like they showed Casey Pryor, he's kind of back turned. They're all like looking down, and it's just like, oh, we suck again, like after
you're like fire
oh,
Pat
no.
Kelsey already 10
we're like
down.
out the gate.
You're like, the score's messed up. Okay, that makes much more sense. But yeah, that first game was like the Bahamas select team was, no offense to those guys, but they were a bunch of plumbers and firemen. Like they were not. Those guys came from their day job to play against the Louisville Cardinals. And it wasn't, I believe that was the game where it was like a 50-point win, and there wasn't really much that you could glean outside of, Case and Pryor looked pretty dominant. Chucky Hepburn really stood out. And so, I mean, I think in this turn, Alan, you're looking for what? What do you want to see, knowing that they're likely going to take care of business? One would hope. I mean, we've obviously, there's been games that over the years that teams have lost on the international trips, but what are you kind of looking for, and what are you watching for to see outside of what Ryan mentioned of how they mesh, and what's the chemistry, and what's the physicality? And I already know what you're going to say, John Anderchuk, at some point in this monologue, but I'll hand you the mic.
Gortat screens.
Right. Yeah, who is that guy? Never heard that name before. Such a foreign sounding name. What the main thing that I'm going to be looking for is the guys that we've been bragging on, like, oh, we got him. He's gonna this year, like there's probably three, maybe four guys. So there's a lot of guys we're high on. There's like 3 or 4 guys that like can't miss a step against this competition, I think is my thing. And that's not pessimist behavior or anything like that. That's just we've seen this movie before. Last year I was really excited about Louisville basketball. Not that we came out flat or we sucked. It's just that overall, defensively, just little things, jacking up all the threes, like over time, it's just, eye-rolling stuff. These are guys that were supposed to shoot 40% from 3 that none of them did, So I think for me, like, you mentioned Flory, like, he needs to be dominant inside. He better own the paint. I mean, I'm not talking about, like, hell yeah, he's got 13 and 8. No, like, there has to be a double-double, I think, at least in one of the games. Maybe you don't play him the whole time. I kind of feel like PK is going to platoon down there. But like there's guys coming off the bench that have shown flashes in these little snippets that we've seen, like Boyan Zhang. Like not even saying I want to see Isaac Ellis, hit 4 threes, but like I would like to see all the guys that I'm like, all right, he'd be a nice little sprinkle in a late game, or like you could plug him in for a few minutes. I would like to see those guys look exceptionally, like, I don't know, not like amazing, like NBA players, but I would like to see them, like impress and not just like, damn, he went in there and kind of looked like a little boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, you want to see them establish dominance against some of these teams. I'm looking at what it looks like the roster of teams that are going to play down there through the entirety of July and into early August. Now, obviously, this isn't a tournament, so Louisville, I'm not sure who of these teams Louisville's going to face, but it looks like the University of Calgary, who Louisville played, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago, is back. The Bahamas team is back. You've got a team called the Carleton Ravens. Not sure much about what they are. You've got another team called, Dalhousie Tigers. I'm not sure what that team is. Del Valle.
They got some dogs.
Yeah, and then the Vikes. So there's your 6 teams that'll be participating on the other side of the college teams, and then the college teams down there over the course of those few days are Arkansas, Cincinnati, Louisville, South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Valparaiso. So we'll see who Louisville gets. I mean, I would have preferred that Louisville plays like Valparaiso down there.
Yeah,
but hey, I don't know how all that works. I'll just take any basketball at this point. Like I need some basketball after watching, as Ryan mentioned, the clips all off season of them doing all these things, and then seeing the full version of it or the long form version of it with the Cardinal commitment. Particularly, like for me, I asked you, what are you looking forward to? Like, I need to see Deshane Montgomery. I want him to play the whole game. Just me personally, selfishly, that's what I want. I just want to see. What is this dude not good at, right? Like, we saw him with the backflip and the goal on the soccer field. We saw him make the diving catch playing kickball. I mean, you've seen him dunk on Gabe Dines a couple of
Mm-hmm.
times, I think, at this point in the offseason, like almost to where it's like, all right, Deshane, you don't got to dunk on him like that every time, like,
Yeah.
geez, man. But I need to see Deshane Montgomery. That's the one of course, Jackson Shelstad and the growth of Adrian Woolley and London Johnson. We're going to see him for the first time. And then, of course, like there's so many different routes that we could go. I want to see Bo Zhang. I want to see all of these guys that are new to the team. You could spend hours talking about all the different angles, but I mean, the fact that you're going to have 9 new players on the roster, or 8 new players, the only returning players being Woolley, London Johnson, and Will Hankey. I suspect we'll see everyone play in this one, but that is a lot of unknowns, and that's what makes it kind of hard to really project what you'll see, especially in these exhibitions. But also, it's what's so intriguing about this whole offseason. We have no idea what 2 new assistant coaches are going to bring to the table, how the team's style of play is going to change. I think we'll get a decent idea of what that's going to look like. At least a little bit when they play these 2 games, as Pat and company try to figure out what they have. Right? I mean, wouldn't that be what you all think as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm kind of looking forward to is seeing how they balance, like, because I don't know if they're really going to want to risk like guys getting kind of banged up or anything, but
sure,
I do want to see them, like Alan was talking about, kind of be physical and play with some oomph down low. Like, I want to see some points in the paint. I don't want to. I don't want to see us chucking up a bunch of threes. Like, if this feels like the type of team that we could go up against and kind of like start to show the fan base that like this is a different style of play. And when we have games during the regular season that are against inferior opponents, you can expect us to play dominant style of basketball that exposes our athleticism and our opponent's lack of it. You know what I mean? So I think it'll be interesting to see how the coaching staff kind of balances, keeping people fresh and healthy and all that, but also trying to kind of show people, like, we went out and got length, we went out and got athleticism, and this is what it looks like on paper when you go up against a team that's not that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which we were on the receiving end on a number of occasions last year, when we went up against people that were better in terms of athleticism and length and size down low and things like that. So,
yeah, absolutely. And like, here we go, John Andrzejczyk. The one that is one thing. Yeah, take a shot. That is the one thing that like I'm going to be watching, like almost obsessively out the gate, at least watching how vocal he is. Does he stand up, like, during plays? Because, Pat Kelsey assistants, they stand up. Like, a lot of assistants do. I'm not saying they don't. Like, UConn's notorious for that. All them guys are up and down, up and down. I'm going to be interested to see on defense, like, how vocal is Pat Kelsey versus John Andrzejczyk? This is what you hired the guy to do. So, and like, like his philosophies on defense, a lot of those he borrows from what's his name, Otzelberger at Iowa State. And so like the way, Iowa State, the way they methodically get guys in shooting places to shoot, I wonder if Pat Kelsey's going to do that, or if it's going to be, free flowing. Like I said, I don't think we're going to take 30-something threes every game. It'd be like in the 20s maybe. So doing that, and then the way that John Andrzejczyk's going to trap and stuff like that, like against inferior competition, sure. But I really wonder, and I really hope that we kind of mirror, like the style and what we see like on tape that Iowa State has done at least the past couple of years. Because I really think like his philosophies, a lot of those are borrowed from Otzelberger, like admittedly by him. He said that openly. So, like I want to beat guys, 80 to 20, right? When we're down there, like I want to beat them like 85 to 15. Like I would love it if the teams that we played, even if we can't score, if they don't score, that would just kind of like really be tip of the cap. Like I would really enjoy that. Even if we had some struggles, we could bitch about offense. But if we had some struggles here and there, but we locked it down and they just really couldn't do anything on defense, that would be like I would sleep well.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point of this, is to get live reps, and that's against somebody that's not yourself. And of course, they're not the talent of a D1 school, maybe even a D2 school. There are professionals that play for the Bahamas select or national team. You're not going to see Buddy Hield. You're not going to see DeAndre Ayton in these games.
Right.
Would be fun if you did, but you're not going to. So you're going to see their second tier guys. And, to give folks an idea of what I would like to see personally and how I would like to see this come to life, I want to take you back to your own days of maybe playing in rec league in middle school or high school. I can give you a situation exactly something like this that happened to me where you're playing a team that before you step on the floor, you have no business going up against. And that when you do, they're better than you at all 5 positions, and they're bigger and they're stronger and they're more physical and they can dunk and they can shoot and they can guard. And you're like, holy shit, this is not the level of basketball in which I play. And then they get out on the floor and you can't even get the ball past half court because they're just pressing you and stealing it. That's what I want to see in this game. I want to see Louisville jump out to where, they may not be pressing, but they're getting 2 or 3 deflections early. They're getting out and they're getting in, transition offense, and they're being able to take advantage of being the more dominant team, the physical team. When they do, get stops and not turnovers, I want to see them come down and set up I want to see what they're going to do from a set perspective. Are they going to run more sets to where they're running pick and rolls and where they're running actions to get guys like Carter Knox or Adrian Woolley open? How are they going to use Jackson Shellstad as the primary point guard? Is he going to be a distributor? Is he going to play off the ball more and they'll let Woolley handle the ball? All of those little things that will kind of help us get an idea of what this team will look like heading into the regular season, I think is what you want to see, while they're also putting their foot to these teams' throats and not feeling bad about it, and then going and riding water slides afterwards. Like, that's what I need to see. Win by 50, and then we're going to ride down the water slides. Me and Jackson are getting on a double tube, and here we go. That's what I need to see in this tournament.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Yes. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was looking at the BahamarHoops.com, like their setup, and there was all the teams that you mentioned are there, but the teams that are also in the NCAA that obviously we can't play against because it's not in the middle of the school year or whatever. Louisville talks about that on their official release, just that like the NCAA won't let us play these teams,
again.
But they'll also be down there, which I thought was interesting. They have us lined up with the Ravens. I don't know if that's like a sneak peek or what, but we could start breaking them down next week. We'll get into their whole roster.
That's right, man.
The Carleton Ravens.
I'm gonna do it as soon as we get off of this podcast. I'm gonna look at their whole roster, where they're from, who their parents were, all that. Going through it all.
Well, here's some basic information. They are from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. So they are a Canadian school. Let's see. They have here we go. They've won 18 of the last 24 national men's championships. So they are.
Let's play them. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Let's go.
I don't think there's an equivalent in any sport of the 18 of the last 24. That is ridiculous.
That is.
They're playing a bunch of 12-year-olds. I mean,
and I will pump them up like they are, 2013 Michigan. I will talk about them on the podcast like I'm Rick Pitino at halftime of that game. Like these guys they are unstoppable. They're good here. They're good here. This would be a big win. This would be a huge win for us.
Yeah.
Can we get it done? I don't know. Let's go try.
It's a big one. Here's 2 fun facts about Carleton Ravens. And we don't know if this is who Louisville's going to play. It's purely early speculation. But one, that when they won their national championship in 2016, they eclipsed the UCLA Bruins men's basketball team as the college with the most national basketball championships of all time. How about that? How about that?
Gosh.
That's insane.
Okay.
And then here are the years. Right, exactly. Same here. They won championships from 2003 to 2007, 2009. And then 2011 to 2017, 2019, 2020, 2022, 2023, and 2026. How about that?
So they're UConn women's basketball, basically.
They are, if UConn women's basketball and UCLA men's basketball in the 70s, 60s had a baby, and this would be it. So, shout out to the Carleton Ravens. We'll see what happens when they run into a real team. They just play a bunch of scrubs. You know what I mean? That Canadian basketball is a joke.
Please let it be them. Oh my God,
Yeah,
please.
I'm trying to get all the
'cause
Carlton Ravens fans in our comments.
They've got Arkansas lined up with Bahamas, which I'm assuming is like the Bahama national team.
Yeah.
They've got Cincy lined up with the Calgary Dinos.
That's who we smacked 2 years ago.
And they got us with the Ravens. They've got Carolina with Dalhousie, whatever. A&M with the Toros, Valpo with the Vikes. But the schedule.
We'll see if the graphics have anything to do with it. Maybe they're giving us a little preview. And then knowing them, these teams won't be in the tournament, and it'll be somebody else. And they
exactly, for sure.
Yeah.
So a lot to be excited about. We've got 13 days, as we mentioned, from the night that we're recording this podcast. So again, on Tuesday, July 28th, Wednesday, the 29th, I love one of my favorite things in life, and I am not underestimating when I say this, is matinee college basketball. Like the period of Thanksgiving where you have feast week, and then with March Madness and the tournament weeks where you have daytime basketball. There is nothing better than a little bit of a noon basketball game. I don't care if it's St. Bonaventure and freaking NJIT. I'll keep up with the box score at least at a minimum. Anytime there's day basketball. I love a good matinee weekday game. So you'll be working if you can, tune in. If not, we're going to break these things down. I'm not sure how we'll do this yet. I want to wait and see what the streaming situation looks like. But assuming that this is streamed, what I think we'll do is we'll hop back into our own international trip here. Maybe we'll put some Bahamian backgrounds on. We'll eat some crawfish or I'm trying to remember what those little conch fritters, that's what they're called. Those things are, if you've ever been to the Bahamas and had conch fritters, oh, so good. So it's been a long time. But we'll break down the results of those games, assuming we have the ability to watch them. If not, if I'm the marketing team, I say to Flory, hey, go over there and write down 100 on the piece of paper and just hold it up, and we'll take a picture, and no one can argue that you didn't do it because
100 rebounds,
keeping it 100 like Will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I'm an idiot. We're playing the Bahamas. I'm an idiot. It's like it says that,
we have two games.
It just says versus Bahamas.
It's not really clear. So I don't know because later it says Arkansas versus Bahamas national team, but it only says the Bahamas for us. So I'm thinking like I don't know.
Well, mate, I don't know. Well, if you said Arkansas and the Bahamas have been announced, your graphic idea and your lines drawing here might be correct, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
you might be onto something. It's Carlton Ravens, so get ready to learn Louisville Cardinals, Carlton.
Do you think we're going to be like bumping shoulders with KP and Calipari while they're down there?
Carter Knox might. I don't know if anybody else will. I certainly can tell you Josh Hurd won't be. So, I don't know. Kenny's going to avoid Louisville like I'm trying to avoid this damn stomach, the explosive diarrhea. That's how that'll go, He's not going to do anything.
I learned that news and I was like, it's just another day in the life for me. It's
right. How do you know if you have that if you already have explosive diarrhea? Just asking for a friend, I'm just curious. So I know we talked about this a little bit, and the video itself is now a little bit over a week and a half, 2 weeks old. The Cardinal commitment video, we alluded to seeing some of the team building exercises. We obviously got to hear from some of the assistants. So I'm going to ask two questions. Here's how I'm going to do this, and then we'll spend just a couple of minutes talking about this. Alan, I'm going to come to you first. We got our first extended period of understanding how John Anderchek works. What were your thoughts in that video of just how he was talking about how he wants to coach, how he wants to instill the physicality, the defensive philosophies? If you're as big of a fan as we all know you are, that couple of minutes, I mean, it had to make you feel some type of way. So break down what you saw and what got you excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all of us kind of, the part where he said, we want the foundation on stone, not sand. I mean, that's powerful. Like, I love the little stuff like that. It's really cool to hear that from him, because if you look, and I have obviously, but if you watch any of the podcasts or any of the little snippets, interviews, conversations that he's had with guys like us from Campbell, like there's a podcast in Campbell basketball. They have a really in-depth podcast. I never knew this, but the guys there got basically an hour-long earful where John Anderchek just talks like he's talking to somebody at the grocery about his philosophies, and it's really hard. You have to go back and listen, like, what? So, oh yeah, and then we do this. We double the big up here, we bring it down here, we force him to the baseline, and then you're just like, it's a lot to, like, I'm keeping it very basic by saying that he goes very in depth. So for him to stand and say something on camera that's profound, kind of like that, lets me believe that he spends a lot of time with Pat Kelsey, and they kind of have a lot of conversations. Maybe Pat Kelsey's rubbing off on him a little bit. I know one of the things that we recently just caught wind of is that he really isn't going to have a hand in the offense that much. So he is basically, and this is something that I kind of assumed. Like, maybe everybody else was like, no shit, dude. But like, I kind of assumed he would take his offensive philosophies and blend it in with Pat Kelsey. Apparently that's not going to be the case. So he's basically just going to be, defensive. So in one clip, I think it's Gabe Dines gets the ball, and John Anderchek is kind of telling him, he's like, you pound the rock. He's like, you guys are afraid of contact. He's like, I'm letting you know, you pound the rock a couple times and then you lean in like this, like you give the guy contact. What he's doing there is telling Gabe Dines, like, Flory's so this is a drill for Flory, but also telling Gabe Dines, like, give him everything you got on that pound, which makes sense in hindsight, right? So he's giving him everything because he's like, we're teaching these guys to be, like, tough. So, like, when the refs, call this and that, or, if we're going to get bullied in the game last year, like, you're not going to see the same blueprint this year. We're going to be a different look. So that's kind of the thing that I got out of it, is like, he's really out there doing, like, like Mike Pegues toughness drills, like, on steroids. So I really love to see that. And that's another thing I'll be looking for when they're in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I thought, just it's always interesting when a program hires another team's head coach and they come in and they go from being the man in charge to being the man in charge of likely one thing or one big thing. John Anderchek didn't come here to be Pat's yes man, right? Like, he came here to prove that, he can take what he did at Florida and bring it to Louisville, impact Louisville, and then get a job in the Big 12, get a job in the ACC, get a job in the Big East, and not have to be at a Campbell, which, was a great opportunity, but is never going to be a school that's going to do anything other than maybe just make the NCAA tournament. And that's an uphill battle based off of what he talked about with the resources and the lack of NIL and all those things. So you're exactly spot on with kind of how I saw that was, he's obviously in the off season and these June and July workouts. Pat's not always around. Pat's out recruiting, and Anderchek and, Ronnie Hamilton and, all these guys are out here, and Peyton Siva and even Coach Foy. We saw a lot of Coach Foy. Come on, Bo! Come on, Bo!
Yeah, come on, Bo!
All year long. Come on, Bo! That's every time Bo gets the ball this year. Come on, Bo! It's going to be nonstop. That was the best part of that whole thing for me. That and Deshaun Montgomery. But, it's great to see these guys all taking leadership, and everyone has a role in understanding it. And Anderchek coming in, there's a lot of responsibility that's going to be put on his shoulders. And, what's that look like while trying to not upseat your own head coach and, falling in with the hierarchy of that and everything. So, Ryan, I know you have been talking literally about this since the night I think it dropped in the group chat. This has been your primary thing. Give me 30 seconds of just your or a minute of your just unfiltered thoughts on this. Like, how excited you are. How many times have you watched it? First of all,
I mean, I watched it like as soon as it came out, just to like, to level set, like get it out there, like make sure I was one of the first people to see it, and then of course
you coming
first. Then I'll be coming back to it.
Yeah.
And just kind of revisit. It's like, no, I was loving every second of that. I just think they do a really good job with these things. Honestly,
the team is strong. Yeah.
I think it's cool because it's the type of content that it's like when we had Rick. That man would do a press conference like every day. I mean, like he would do a presser for just no reason.
He would, but also those summer blog posts back in the day were some of the best content we ever got from a head coach, where he's like, Ray Spalding is getting dominated. He's a little bitch,
Yeah.
It's like, all right, Rick.
Yeah.
You know, damn, shitting on Ray Spalding, man. Yeah, but I loved it, you know, like that type of thing. So I missed those. I would love for a blog for Pat.
It's like I think we got so spoiled with like with a lot of access like under Rick with a lot of press conferences with the blog with this, all this stuff, and so like I like that they do this, like that they do you know, kind of just like it's a different flavor, right? Like we're not necessarily hearing PK just rip into guys like Rick would do to Ray Spalding, or a counter when, you know, Rick would just like way overhype guys that were not good at all. Like he'd be like, "Yeah, this guy's going to be an All-American," and it's like just like never got off the bench.
Yeah. Can you imagine Rick Pitino having to deal with Sananda Frew and just how mad he would be with Sananda Frew?
Oh my god!
Non-stop. It would be non-stop. Like, I mean,
when we were watching
him on the blog talking about Sananda Frew would just be incredible.
I just like that they do these, and I think they do a really good job, and I really like, and I think it was intentional because these guys do a good job at this stuff. I like that they did the first one with so much focus on Jackson Shelstad, because I think Shelstad is going to be. Look, I mean, you know, we've had a lot of conversations about like how is PK changing things up? Is he going to go for like is he changing everything about how he's going to coach because he's got this different roster? Like, no bones about it. Jackson Shelstad, it's still a point guard driven. Your point guard is still your leader. Your point guard is still your leader. I don't think that changes, and I think opening up with a lot of you know, featuring him and interviewing him and seeing him side by side with Peyton Siva, like Alan, you were the first one to talk about how they, like, he kind of reminded you of Peyton, and like seeing them both kind of just talking, you know, they were featured heavily in this video together in a lot of ways. I think is it made me open up to that comparison a little bit more. I mean, just the notion that, you know, Peyton was fantastic leader, but not like the go-to guy on a national championship team. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was, right? But you needed him, and I think that comparison lines up pretty well with Shelstad when, you know, he's maybe not like your number one or even number two guy, but he is the leader. He's the coach on the floor, as PK says, and so I think it's intentional that they opened up highlighting him, talking about what he's learning, and then spraying like 15 threes in a row. I was like, oh my god, this is. I did the I'm ready to get hurt again. Like that was my my meme that I quote tweeted with that, because I was like, okay, we're gonna be watching a bunch of 3-pointers again, aren't we?
But we're gonna get some point in the season, Jackson Shelstad's gonna clip the beginning of that first like 5 seconds of him just spraying threes, and the caption's just gonna be, "You wasn't with me when we were shooting in the gym." Like that's gonna be what it is. You know, that's so right. It was great to see. I loved seeing, you know, some of the leadership, and also, I mean, you know, his shoulders are broad enough, literally and physically, to carry a basketball team. So
I think he'll be the leading scorer. I mean, I think it'll be a like a, you know, he screams like 16.8 points a game, like lead, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think we're going to be a team that's like right up under him. Could be I don't even know, like could be a Deshane, could be I think Carter Knox, dude.
Yeah.
And I've been loud about him. People are like, look at his, you see what he did last year? Yeah, the 4 guys that he averaged in points behind, they all went pro. Like all of them. Think about those guys. Malik Thomas, right. Billy Richmond. Well, maybe not. I think DJ. Actually, he might have averaged more than DJ in Darius Acuff. Like he was not. He was not even the third option on that team. And so like I think there's anyway. But Jackson Shelstad was vocally like his favorite player growing up was, because he grew up in the Pacific Northwest, was Peyton Siva. So that all kind of works out, and I'm really, I don't know, I can see it. Like again, man, they basically mirror each other, you know, and I'm really excited to see if he's like 6'2", I think, something like that. Sivo's only 6 foot, so if he could be a little bit more of a physical style of a Peyton Sivo, like sign me up for that. Especially he averaged 2 or 3 steals a game. Like give me all that.
Yeah, it's exciting to see a guy like that take some command of leadership, and having the coaching of Peyton Siva. And, it gives you Chucky Hepburn vibes, but it's just every player is different, every year is different, so the vibes of the team are different. But it's really interesting to see. Quickly moving into some other topics, because I want to finish the show with TBT. As the Cards and the Cats alumni teams will get underway this weekend for the $2 million basketball tournament. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about two topics. We'll start first, Ryan, and Alan, I'll come to you on this one. Texas Tech, we get the announced time for Louisville against Texas Tech, 8 p.m. on Tuesday, November 24th. I am hoping to be out there for that. I really want to make this an event that State of Louisville goes and travels to. I love Vegas, man. It's a good time for a couple of days. They'll take on Texas Tech. We found out, obviously, JT Toppin is back. They've got a roster that's built to be super competitive again behind Grant McCasland.
Mm-hmm.
I have an interesting here. Their big transfer this offseason, Cruz Davis, is from Hofstra, but previously had played at St. John's, and before that was on a roster at Iona with Danish Jenkins, who now plays for the Detroit Pistons, and Walter Clayton, who we obviously know won a national championship at Florida and now is with the Utah Jazz. Cruz Davis was also on that team as a freshman, went on to become an all-conference player at Hofstra, and now is with Texas Tech. Alan, what's your confidence level? Very early, I know, but what's your confidence level around that tournament and Louisville being able to move on past the Texas Tech?
I think it's a great opportunity. I'm going to talk all my shit when the time comes, but I think defensively, hopefully, the teams will be very similar on paper. Like I think you might even be looking at like a 58 to 55 final score or something like that. Like honestly, like I would sign up for that right now, just because I think in the long run, you watch teams like Houston, Texas Tech, not as much as of a slower pace, but Grant McCasland's just known for like his defensive prowess. His teams are so physical, and he goes and gets explosive players, obviously Toppin and some other guys. But I think my confidence will, like right now, if you ask me on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm moving in like an 8, because I think a lot of people are sleeping on this Louisville team. I think people have us, even Mike Rutherford had us at 12th, I think, in the country, which is fair. Like all these things are fair. 12 to 15, 16, that's okay, whatever, that's fair. You don't know what to go by. I think Rothstein has us in the top 15 or something like that, but I really think this is a top team. This is a top 10 team, in my opinion. And try not to bark too loudly. I said similar things last year preseason, but we saw, like the one thing that like slowed us down last year, like our teams could score points, but we just couldn't defend shit. Like our defensive philosophies were too porous. Anyway, I think that's going to be a really good matchup, and I'd be surprised if the winning team scored more than 70. But I think like for us basketball nerds, we're going to love it. We're going to love that game.
Yeah, it's going to be a really great battle between Cruz Davis, and they also have another transfer from UNLV who used to be at Illinois, and Dre Gibbs Lawhorn, who is a nasty defender. So it'll be just your typical Texas Tech basketball, muck it up, really try to make it physical. Ryan, this was another interesting topic I thought that hit Twitter this week, and of course it's not the offseason without lists. If you don't have numbers next to names, what are you even doing in the offseason to stand out with your content? We saw On3 put out the top 10 NIL valuations of athletes, and obviously this isn't imperfect science because athletes do not have to report their earnings. They don't have to report any of their marketing deals. Nothing really has to be, really necessarily out in the open. So we don't know. This is, I guess, hearsay really more than anything. But the top 3, Darian Mensah, quarterback at Miami, formerly of Duke, Milan Momcilovic at now UK, and then number 3, Florida Badinga at $6 million. 1, are you surprised by that? And 2, do you believe that's accurate?
I'm surprised by how willing and able people are to just put stupid, completely unverified bullshit out into like the ether. That's what I'm surprised by. I don't understand. I don't know. I'm not here to like make enemies with anybody, but like I don't understand. I don't understand how this is like allowed, and we could just put bullshit into the ether. I don't know. I mean, Darian Mensah, probably. Why is Jeremiah Smith number 5? That's what I want to know.
That doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah,
that doesn't feel right. I don't think
I have a
Milan
hard
and
time
Floyer are
believing-
making the same amount of money. I don't think Milan and Floyer are making the same amount of money.
I
And
agree
I
with you
think
on that.
most people in both Louisville and Lexington would agree with that sentiment. Like,
Yeah, and I also don't believe that Masamba Diop at Gonzaga is making more money than anyone from the top player at an LSU, the top player at a Florida, the top player at a Texas. Where is Arch Manning? Like, what is this list?
Yeah,
you
wait.
know? I mean, like, where are some of the names that you would expect?
I think it's a list
Tyron
of
Stokes-
people. Sorry, I
Go
think it's a list of people that the information that they have, and they're like, we have all of these.
Right.
Maybe Flory is correct. I have no idea. You know what I mean? I mean, like, maybe I don't even know if Momcilovic is accurate 100%. Like, it's a lot of speculation around that. I don't know, but maybe they have a list of people that are like, these are the ones that we know. You know, like, and then sputter out some other names like, oh, he's probably got.
Right.
Maybe reportedly like hush hush 7 million here, 8 million, but these are the ones we know. So let's make this list and put the graphic out and get the clicks. Maybe
Yeah. No, and there's certainly an element of that. Again, it's not reported. I work in this space from a marketing perspective, not a brand or not a NIL negotiation standpoint, but any deal that we do never has to be reported outside of the clearinghouse. So publications have no idea what a player is getting from an NIL perspective from UPSs and the FedExes or whatever it is of the world that are doing brand deals. So, I think it's a very flawed number. It is definitely for clicks. I'm sure UK fans are saying, oh, look, see, you're talking about blah, 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 making this much money and they're making the same amount of money. And there's a great line from Cardi B, I believe who it is, who says that counting my money doesn't make you rich. That's exactly what this is.
Right.
I mean, it's just purely speculation. But it's a great comment. It's great, to commentate on and analyze and say, are you surprised?
they got what they wanted, right? Yeah, like we're sitting here
we're
talking
talking
about it.
That's right. And speaking of,
I think we just need to start putting some random shit out there too. You guys got any cool, just dumb lists we can put out?
Yeah,
it's got to be good.
Right.
Followed State of Louisville personalities. Jacob Lane, 4.5 million followers.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, whoa, there's no way that's true. Like, hey, well, you can't confirm or deny that.
Right.
Mean, you don't know. So, just good off-season, conversation to have. And then finally, we'll end with a bang here. The TBT basketball tournament getting underway, I believe, for the third or fourth year for Louisville basketball. And the Ville back this year with Russ Smith at the helm as the owner, as well as the GM of the roster, as well as the players. How about owner, player, GM, player? That's a new combination that I have not seen before.
Yeah.
So what are our thoughts there?
Do we have a GM on are we should we get Russ to be like the
Our
GM
regular
for
GM?
like the Louisville team? Like he put together a hell of a roster. I'm kind of excited. I mean, I know that this is kind of this it maybe doesn't have the same following as it did like 3 or 4 years ago, but like I'm pumped about this roster. This is a good squad. He did a good job putting it together.
It's overshadowed because we're going to be good. Louisville men's basketball is going to be good. Well, and women's, but like it's overshadowed because we're not in the Payne years, the end of the Mac era / Payne years, where we were just like, gosh, morale was really low. You know what I mean? And we weren't like starving. We're starving for content, like for games and like reps. We want to see this team because they're all new too. That's another thing is the unknown is very exciting about Louisville men's basketball. But I think like to your point. Like just from if you take all that away and don't think about the Bahamas being like a week later, like I am, if you just sit back and look at the roster, like overall he went younger. Like I'm really glad that he didn't there were some guys last year that I was kind of like, man, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited that he's here. Supposedly Steve Romage says he looks really good in practice. And then like he, without saying any names, like a legacy player goes out and gets, he fouls out of the game in like 7 minutes. You know what I mean? And like this is a guy that's supposed to look really good. It's supposed to be like, leading the charge. And it's just that's fatigue and reaching and fouling is a lot of that is frustration and just not being whatever. So there's guys that I'm intrigued by on this roster for sure. Like for one, honestly, like the one I'm most intrigued by is Malik Williams. And that's just because he has had an uptick statistically the past couple of years. Like he averages 16 and where the hell is it? 16 and 10, right? This last season for the team he played for. That's an uptick from the year before where he averaged 11 and I have these on two separate things. 11 and 6 with the same amount of minutes. So either to me, that sounds like a guy that is either playing on a team that needs him a little bit more, him to contribute a little bit more, or a guy that's in a little bit better basketball shape, has been working on his game. I mean, 16 and 10 is tough to do at almost any level, really. I mean, unless you're a superstar. So, like you said, like you can go down the list. We can look at the roster, and there's some guys that just kind of haven't played with us yet that I'm excited about. Jalen Withers is another one, Trey Lewis, so and some other guys, but. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the reason that this year it's kind of trickled off and been a little bit quieter under Russ. But like you said, he's quietly put together a really good squad.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And this is, the least promotion that the team has had in the 3 years they've been doing this. Yeah. So it's kind of like a move in silence type of situation. And this first game is, going to be competitive with La Familia, but, obviously the news in the last 24 hours that, a couple of their players, including Archie Goodwin, won't play. And as of this afternoon, they didn't have enough players to even play in the game. But we'll see what that looks like and how they complete their roster. I think I saw tonight that they've gotten Marcus Lee back on the roster, and there's some rumors that Deron Lamb might suit up for the team again. So we'll see how they fill the roster out. I feel better about the Ville advancing with Montrezl Harrell on the roster with some of the things that we consider with the La Familia team, not having all the pieces. Again, they're older than, they're older than Louisville. Louisville's a still an older team for the most part, but their pieces are guys like Willie Cauley-Stein and the Harrison brothers and, Deron Lamb, pieces like that have been playing, college and professional basketball for quite some time. Same can be said of Russ Smith and Chris Jones and, some of the guys that you mentioned, Trey Lewis, Jalen Johnson, Montrezl Harrell, of course, is a big three guy now because he's a retired NBA player. But I feel good that this team is going to be competitive. They certainly don't have a lot of guards, and I'm really curious to see how that works with Russ Smith. Probably not going to play a whole lot. David Johnson and Chris Jones will kind of handle the majority of that work, but they've got Montrezl Harrell, Jalen Johnson, and Malik Williams that are all three NBA caliber bigs or guys that have played in the NBA. So we'll see what that looks like. But I'm excited. You can get out there to watch them. They kick off TBT actually on Saturday down in Lexington, but we'll return on Monday the 20th to play at Freedom Hall in Game 2. The winner of that one, or the game, if the UK or Louisville doesn't win both of those games, they'll play a Game 3, which I believe will be at Memorial Stadium as well down in Lexington. So Louisville will have its work cut out for them. You hope they're going to come out with the chip on their shoulder, considering what happened last year and how embarrassing that was with that roster and everything that happened. But overall, I feel good roster. I would have liked to have seen a Jordan Wara, a Carlik Jones, somebody of that ilk play on this team. But considering the circumstances, to only fill the roster outside of the new addition and Alex Matthews this afternoon, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, everyone is a Louisville guy. So I think that's interesting, and there's at least basketball to watch and get behind right now, and we need anything to get us to football season in September. So I'll take it as a win.
And if they win, like, people will start being like, oh, okay. Like as soon as like they have a good performance, people are gonna be like, all right, we're showing up at they're gonna be at Freedom Hall if they win. And it'll be fun.
That's exactly right. My cat has come into my office here where I do the show from, and my cat's very loud. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. He's pissed. I keep throwing paper at him because he comes in here and just makes a ruckus for no reason. He's old and senile. So hopefully that's a sign that the Ville's going to dominate the Cats. That'll do it here for the show. Starting 502 Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in here on the State of Louisville Podcast Network. Subscribe right here below us on our YouTube channel at the State of Lou for more great content across the network. From the Pink Seats Podcast, it's 502 somewhere, and of course all the other content that we've got across our YouTube platform. Be sure to follow us on social. Drop in the comments and let us know what you think about the Bahamas, what's got you excited, what you want to see from the roster or from the coaching staff. And then, of course, TBT. Drop in the comments players that you're excited to see, players that you would have liked to have seen on this roster, all of that. And we will be back here in the next couple of weeks talking Louisville basketball, talking TBT, some actual games being played on the hardwood. So be sure that you tune back in for that. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast from. On the audio side, State of Louisville Podcast Network, starting Five02 Podcast. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, go Cards.
Sir.